to getting the truth. Early in the process, we defined what a fair trial was. Witnesses, documents. We didn't know what the witnesses would say. We didn't try to have a long list of witnesses to be dilatory. We simply looked at the ones who were eyewitness to the account and what they would say. And now that our Republican colleagues have rejected a fair trial, truth, there's a giant asterisk next to the president's acquittal. The asterisk says he was acquitted without facts, he was acquitted without a fair trial, and it means that his acquittal is virtually valueless. So while Leader McConnell in the White House may be cheering this as a win, history will view this as a Pyrrhic victory for Senate Republicans and the Senate Republican Party and the Republican Party and for President Trump. Because there was a metaphor here. McConnell and I were each supposed to speak, me at 3:30, him at 3:45. While I was speaking, only 2 Republicans were in the chamber. They were hiding in the cloakroom. When McConnell spoke, they all came out. That's a metaphor. They were afraid to hear the other side. They were afraid to hear the truth. They were afraid to talk about what was right. Our members all sat and listened to McConnell, and what he said didn't really bother us. For one thing, he didn't address a single charge in the 2 articles of impeachment. All he could do was attack this, attack that, attack Democrats, attack the House. This is a sacred trial. Talk about the facts. But they couldn't. And I believe the American people will realize that this was one of the largest cover-ups in the history of our nation. I believe the American people will know who stood in the way of truth, who were afraid of the facts, who covered up. And make no mistake about it, the drip, drip, drip of evidence is going to keep coming out. With each new revelation, Republicans are going to have to answer for their votes. They chose to turn their back on the American people and stand for a cover-up. They chose to use ad hominem attacks and finger-pointing. Leader McConnell couldn't even bring himself to say what the president did was wrong when you asked him a few minutes ago. That's astounding. Maybe he believes what Dershowitz believes. This president can do anything he wants. So, as I said, we always knew it was an uphill fight. No one had illusions that the president would be convicted. But we made the fight for truth, and we made the fight for facts, and it created a bipartisan impeachment that can never be erased from history. Never. And by the way, the chart McConnell had was as deceptive as most of his arguments. How many of those witnesses were allowed by President Trump on that chart? 0. How many documents were allowed by President Trump in the impeachment trial? 0. He criticized the House, but he's claiming credit for their witnesses, which weren't all the witnesses they wanted. So I'll take some questions. Yes, Gary.
How important will it be politically and historically that this was a bipartisan vote? And what was your reaction when you found out it was going to be?
First, I do want to salute Mitt Romney. The pressure on every Republican was enormous. Every Republican knows that this president is vindictive, vengeful, vicious sometimes, and they don't want to oppose him. There are a whole lot of Republicans, I believe, who knew we were right, but said, I don't want the bother of being attacked relentlessly by the president and the hard right. And so the fact that this is bipartisan holds up a beacon as to what was right and what was wrong. And the fact that the Democrats were united in conviction of the president, and even more important, on witnesses and on documents, speaks speaks legions.
Why is that?
Yes. Go ahead.
Senator Schumer, can you speak a little bit? Senator McConnell is making the argument that the polling numbers actually look better for his Republican incumbents
Well,
than they do.
the amazing thing about Leader McConnell is he says the House is being political, and all he does is talk politics. The bottom line is, if you believe that truth prevails, if you believe that the American people wanted the facts, we're happy to live with that verdict and see where it takes us. Plain and simple. Yes, Manu.
President Trump's approval rating is now 49% according to the Gallup poll. Are you concerned at all that this effort was a political gift to the president?
No, not at all. This was seeking the truth. History, if you believe that right prevails, and we know we were right, and we know they knew they were wrong, as evidenced by them sort of hiding, shaking in the cloakroom, and even being unwilling to listen to the other side, then you know that it's going to work out. And I believe it will work out. Poll numbers go up and down, up and down. That's not what motivated us here. When something as serious as this, you try to figure out what is the right thing to do, what is the truth, how do you get the truth, and you go forward. And the chips will fall where they may. But almost always, if American history is any indication, when you're right, the chips fall on your side. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Did Senator Manchin come to you before announcing his vote and talk to you
No,
about it?
I learned of the vote just before they called the roll when someone told me he put out a statement.
Were you surprised?
Joe Manchin wrestled with this and struggled with it, showed far more courage than every Republican other than Mitt Romney. And I didn't know where he'd come out. I told him that he should just wrestle with his conscience. He's a religious man with God, and come to the conclusion to do the right thing. And I told him we'd be friends no matter what. No. You always shout out. I'll get to you, but I want to get to people who don't. I try to go to the milder-mannered people occasionally.
Schumer, do you think that the House of Representatives should subpoena John Bolton?
That'll be up to them. I'm not going to get into that.
But do you think that if they do, what should happen?
I'm not going to comment on what the House of Representatives should do. As I said, I thought they did a very fine job. I don't have any second guessing of them. And the irony is they did a far finer job than the Senate did under Mitch McConnell's leadership. Mitch McConnell covered it all up. The House didn't.
Leader Schumer?
Nope. Yes, back there.
Is this going to put impeachment to bed, or is the specter of...
Look, this idea we have too many impeachments, too few impeachments, the standard should not be how many or what's politically right or wrong. The standard should be, did the president commit high crimes and misdemeanors? I think it's conclusive that the president did. And if the president does it in 3 months, they should impeach him again. And if the next president does it, they should impeach him or her. The bottom line is very simple. This idea that the election should decide, if the Founding Fathers thought elections should decide, they wouldn't have put impeachment in the Constitution. They obviously said there are some instances where impeachment should decide. And there was no term limits then. So it's not that, second term is okay and all of that. It's the most ridiculous argument that elections should decide when the Founding Fathers put impeachment in the Constitution. Yes.
Ukraine was the prime victim of this trial.
Yes.
Do you feel that Ukraine can become a toxic issue in legislation?
Well,
and what would be the signs of support?
Well, I hope. We should be supporting Ukraine. There has been bipartisan support for Ukraine in the past, very strong votes for aid for Ukraine. But what happens is when the president comes up with this crazy conspiracy theory that came out of someone's mind and originally came out of Russian intelligence, all the Republicans say, yeah, that must be true. The obeisance to the president, when so many people know he's wrong, when so many people know he's mistruthful, is very damaging to the republic. Okay? You should not be afraid to tell a president he is wrong when you know he is. But Donald Trump has them all very fearful, very fearful. Yes. You. Hallelujah, you finally got called on.
So Speaker Pelosi has been criticized by some Republicans for ripping up President Trump's State of the Union speech. Do you believe that was the appropriate?
I think the greater criticism was the partisan nature of this speech was the fact that it was untruthful in so many places. When the worst thing about this was the president made this a campaign rally, a reality TV show. He even sounded like a carnival barker. It was so demeaning for the presidency for this speech. That's what I'm aghast at. Yes.
Senator Schumer, you made reference to Senator Manchin. Do you worry about your members from red or purple states who now own these votes to convict?
I said truth will will out. And I think those members who voted for truth, who voted for witnesses and documents, as the American people were for, will be rewarded for it.
What do you?
Nope, not you. You.
Thank you. There's been a number of the president's allies who have now come out saying that Mitt Romney should be expelled from the Republican conference. What do you think that says about the Republican Party generally?
Plenty.
Did you care to expound on that? It's
Well, it makes my case. If you stand up when you think the president's wrong, and by the way, the vast majority of Americans and a good chunk of Republicans said the president's wrong. They may have come to a different conclusion, but they said he's wrong, and they want to throw you out of the party. That's why the percentage of Americans who are Republican is less today than when Donald Trump took office. Yes. Yep. I didn't call you, but I'll do you, and then I'll do her. Okay.
Senators Gardner and McSally, Republicans who voted against witnesses, against conviction. Do you think this plays into their reelection?
You know, you're all asking these political questions. Go ask Mitch McConnell. He's interested in the politics in this. We're interested in finding out the right thing, the truth. Okay? Yes.
Senator Lisa Murkowski said that the Senate had basically hit bottom with its partisanship. Do you agree? And if you agree, how do you expect the Senate to move
Well,
forward?
I'm not going to tell you what she said, but I went to Murkowski last night, and I told her, because she said no one could come to an agreement. I said I went to McConnell 3 times before I sent the letter that asked for witnesses and documents and said, let's negotiate a bipartisan agreement, and he was not interested. Then after I sent the letter, I met with McConnell. I said, let's negotiate. He said, not if you have any witnesses or documents. He was unwilling to negotiate. That's what created the rift. We were willing to sit down and talk. Yes.
Related to the rift that you're talking about, earlier Leader McConnell said that despite these partisan divides that have occurred and despite the fact that it is an election year, he does still think that there are things that Congress can get done together. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'd always want to try, but it's laughable. This is Leader McConnell. I think Dick Durbin mentions it. We've had 27 amendments on the floor, 6 of which were forced by Rand Paul. Leader McConnell has day after day, week after week, month after month refused to put things on the floor to debate. It was laughable that he said impeachment's getting in the way of getting things done. The only thing he's getting done is trying to put all of these right-wing judges on the floor that can pass with 50 votes. So it's laughable that they say they want to get things done, but we're always welcome. If he wants to sit down and try to bring things to the floor and allow amendments, hallelujah. We wait the day. Yeah, did you get one yet? No, not doing it. Go ahead, you.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Can you talk, do you have any advice for your caucus about taking the high road, moving on?
We did take the high road. We're proud of it. As I said, I think we walk with our heads held high. I think the Republican caucus is ashamed, many of them, of what they did.
And following up on that, you mentioned that Republicans were afraid of hearing the truth, afraid of hearing the other side. What do you think they have to be afraid of now?
They're always afraid of Donald Trump. They're always afraid of Donald Trump. He brooks no dissension. And they look back to last year when the 2 senators who had the courage to oppose him, Senator Flake, a conservative, and Senator Corker, a more mainstream Republican, he hounded them out of the party. Thank you, everybody.
That was Senator Chuck Schumer saying it is a dark day for the country here as President Trump found not guilty on both charges of impeachment. And there's Betsy DeVos. That popped right on our screens right there. Live look right here, and we should mention right here on our News Now stream, everybody, live look at the White House, but we will have a very special stream starting tomorrow. It'll be 11 o'clock Eastern starting. We will, in its entirety, President Trump will be making his first statement after being found not guilty. That will be taking place on our YouTube stream. So if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button so you know exactly when we are live, when the event is going live. And you can also be sure to check it out also in clip version as well.